Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about PAILS and RAILS, what they are, and why they're helpful. So PAILS is P-A-I-L-S and RAILS is R-A-I-L-S. So it's progressive angular isometric loading and regressive angular isometric loading. What this means is when we're working PAILS contraction, we're recruiting or contracting the lengthening tissues or the progressive tissues. So this angle is progressing, this angle is regressing. So these are the regressive tissues. Why this is important is because we want to work both tissues at end range. This allows us to contract there, recruit the nervous system. So we're teaching the nervous system that it's safe to contract progressive tissues and regressive tissues. You're going to find that when you do these, oftentimes, you might be able to contract the progressive tissues fairly easily, but the regressive tissues are going to be relatively challenging. And it's critical that we do contraction, we do some sort of neurological input while we're at end range, because if we just hold a static stretch for a period of time, we might prime the cells, we might even feel a little bit of relief, but the nervous system won't be primed. So let's demonstrate that. So let's just say we did a car with Kyle, just real quick, go into shoulder flexion. And let's say he's limited here, but he doesn't feel any closing angle pain. So this is a good place for us to start. When we go into the passive stretch, he might be able to go a little bit further, but we know that we want to improve that. Yep. So this is an intervention that we can adapt or adopt so that we get adaptation. Yep. And hopefully after his PAILS contraction, he should be able to go further. That's a really, really good indication that we're doing something right, and hopefully we'll achieve some greater range of motion here. So Kyle's gonna make sure everything else is firm. We don't have any ribs coming up or anything. Yep, exactly. He's gonna make sure he goes into as much shoulder flexion as he has. Now you don't feel any closing angle pain. Good, you feel stretched down here. You're nice and firm. Okay, so we're gonna do a 2-minute hold here. This is a position we're showing you because it's easy to show you on the camera. Most likely, we would have him on all fours in quadruped, and he would have his hand on a box or a ball or a chair or a couch, something sturdy and in a position that's a little bit more relaxed that he can hold for a period of time. So once again, you're doing a passive stretch for 2 minutes. You're gonna hold this. That just primes the tissues. That allows the nervous system to calm down a little bit. And what we know from research is that the important thing to force adaptation with cells is time. It's time under tension. So we want to make sure that we're really pushing the upper limits of that time. 2-minute passive stretch and then our PAILS and RAILS on top of that is enough time, according to the research, to achieve that adaptation. So let's just say Kyle has held the passive stretch for 2 minutes. Now we're going to start our PAILS contraction. So we want everything to tighten up, and Kyle is going to start to push down with the progressive structure. So he's actually contracting the muscles that are stretching right now. And we're going to do this for about 20 seconds. It's a gradual ramp up. So you're going to start around 20%, 30%, 40%. You're going to work your way up. If this is your first time, you want to stay close to 20%, but as you get better, we're going to work up as close to 100% as we can. So we're reaching 20 seconds. Now we're going to do our RAILS contraction. So now Kyle's going to recruit these tissues and he's going to try to bring his chest closer to the floor. As he lowers his chest, he's still using these. Pull, 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 pull. About 10 to 20 seconds and relax, stay there. We're going to do another set here. We'll do 2 to 3 sets of the PAILS and RAILS. All right, Kyle, you ready? We're gonna do PAILS again. Ready? Start building it up. Push down, 20, 30, 40, 50, building it up. Let's say Kyle's super experienced at this. We're gonna get safe and great as possible. Push down as hard as you can. Look, he's shaking. This isn't for the beginner. This is when you've been doing this for a while. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, RAILS. Take your chest down. Use these tissues, use these tissues, use these tissues, use these tissues, use these tissues. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, passive stretch. Breathe, there you go, good. So we've achieved quite a bit of length. We're making sure we're keeping the elbow nice and locked out, making sure nothing else is compensating, we're not losing the spine. And that's a really good couple bouts of PAILS and RAILS there, just to give you an example. Come on out of that.
And that's work, folks. That's it.
Yeah, if you're stretching and you're not sweating, most likely it's not gonna last.
And that's one of the biggest things with the PAILS and RAILS, and I think that we used to always do wrong when we were stretching, you know, is that we would just stretch.
You mean with like PNF or?
And let go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just stretch it and let go.
Yeah.
And then the concept is that we were missing was really the true contraction and the ramping of the contraction after a static duration, and definitely the regressive tissue.
Yep.
I mean, and that's the side of that you will sometimes get some cramping, so be very delicate with yourself when you're doing that and stay just below that threshold. The goal is not to cause yourself to spasm and freak out, but the goal is to definitely challenge the tissue.
Absolutely, yeah, and it really is joint training. This isn't stretching, we're training your tissues, we're training your joints to be able to handle the position on both ends, not just one side, but both. If the regressive tissues don't contract well, the progressive tissues are not going to be convinced that they can continue to lengthen. So that's super critical moving forward with this stuff. We'll do our best in each intervention, each body part when we're doing PAILS and RAILS to remind you of this stuff. But just remember to progress slowly, 15 to 20% contraction when you're doing your PAILS at the beginning. And then as you get better at this, you're gonna ramp it up a lot.
And really just own the whole thing. So don't work outside your capacity, don't get ahead of yourself, and just focus on owning it and then building it up over time.
Absolutely, and this is one of the interventions that we hope help you move freer and live well.